Good morning. Hello, hello. Here we are with another live video. And today we are going to go through the cabinets because, all right, put your hand up. Are you nosy? Yeah, I'm totally this type where if you're driving through a small town at night and someone happens to have an old house and have the window curtains open and have the lights on, you better believe we're slowing down because I want to see what the trim looks like. So I feel that this is kind of the cabinet equivalent of that, shall we say, because obviously I want to know what's in all of the drawers, right? So that's what we're going to do. Because this is it. This is all the cabinets in the kitchen right there. That's it. There's nothing else. And so for a little bit of background, I had to be pretty selective with what was in the kitchen and what was not in the kitchen. Because I think there's kind of a lot of marketing out there with a lot of different tools and techniques and gadgets and things that you need to have in your kitchen. But do you really need to have in your kitchen? So when I was filling this, I really just spent a lot of time thinking about what actually needs to go in here. What can I get rid of? What can I, put on my mental list of if I need more room, this is the first thing to go. But that doesn't matter because we're going to go on a little tour, and I'm so excited because I can actually flip the camera in the live, in theory. Woo-hoo! All right. So, back up. Here's the full overview of the glorious 9 a.m. light in the kitchen. And let's start over here. Okay. This lower cabinet, this is mostly where we prepare meals. So if we are reheating something or if I'm preparing a meal, it's usually done at this counter. So most of the things that are in here are what we need every day. Obviously, we have our pull-out counters, which I used legitimately for the first time the other day to shred up chicken for dinner, and that was very exciting. Right underneath it, there was some concern about having two pulls here and whether or not that would make it difficult to actually pull out by hand. But as you can see, it's totally doable with one hand. These drawers my husband made. He has an Instagram account at Mr. Vernacular that shows how he made them. They're not dovetailed. These are just glued together. This bottom piece is inset in the sides. And so one thing that's nice about that is, unlike a lot of modern cabinets, we get this full width. So there's not a drawer with a face put on. It's all built in one together. But then he also built these drawer dividers, and I'm going to have a video coming about how to do this with another drawer. So sit tight for that. But essentially in here we have, a lot of our tools: can opener, pizza cutter, various wine things, meat thermometer, and then also all of our daily utensils. So these are what we use every day: knives, spoon, forks. These are the main ones, and then these are kind of the extras: dessert forks, larger spoons, a couple small serving things. So this is where most of our utensils are, and it's so pleasing to look at, with all of the different dividers and everything. So that's in the top drawer. Then I opted for drawers instead of cabinets down here, mostly because I just hate fishing stuff out of the back of cabinets. So I wanted minimum cabinets. This one holds food storage. Parchment paper is not actually in here, but that technically would be in here. Plastic wrap, all that kind of stuff. Right here where we make sandwiches and make lunches and everything. So it's pretty close. Underneath that, and these two, we have Tupperware. This one is a little bit unfortunate to me because we actually need both drawers to hold all of the Tupperware. I wish it was only one drawer, but I might be able to move something around in the future. So that's all the drawers. And then over here is all of my tall things, basically. So cooling rack, cutting boards, baking pans, muffin tins, and we sized this shelf specifically so that it could accommodate my biggest cutting board and my cooling rack. So above that, I just have a couple baking pans, and then that is the parchment paper that I happened to get from the grocery store, so it fits there. These shelves Brandon put in after the fact, and I'll talk a little bit more about this on the other side, but I planned what was going to go on them before we put them in, so we had a little bit of an idea. These cabinets do have a little magnet on them. like that, but we ended up not putting them on the ones above because it just was a little bit too much. So that's basically everything that goes in here. It's plenty of storage, no big deal. And then right above it is arguably the most fun cabinet. So this is where all of our dishes are, all of our daily dishes. And this is also where the little cabinet is in the pantry. I don't think we'll get to the pantry today. I think that'll have to be another one, but that's where the pass-through opens in, is right there. So Brandon had only one request with the dishes, because obviously I have a lot because I like to collect them. He requested that there be no double stacking of dishes. So, you know, no bowls on top of plates. He wanted everything to be single stacked. It could be the same thing in a stack, but everything needed to be single stacked. I said, okay, we can make that work. So these dishes are called DeWitt Clinton. They're by Syracuse, China. They are restaurantware or dinerware, and most of them, I asked for some of them for my wedding because you can go on replacements.com and make a registry. So I got a bunch that way, and then everything else just came kind of pieced together from eBay. Most of these are pretty new because every time I bring up these, people are worried about lead. Most of these are pretty darn new, like from the 80s reproductions. These I think are my oldest ones, but these I happened to find actually in a box at an antique mall. So that was kind of strange because I've never seen them anywhere else. But we use these all the time for cereal, and Brandon makes eggs in the morning, large plates, and then these are really good for sandwiches or quick bagels or something. These are some of the best bowls that we bought. I got these a couple years after I started collecting, but they are chili bowls, and they're really shallow, and they're so good for stuff like chili or spaghetti or anything where it might be a little bit too soupy to put on a plate, but you don't necessarily want a whole bowl. So these are really, really nice. You can see the color. It has a bird of paradise on it. And I didn't match the kitchen to them, but they seem to quite like the kitchen. So we have those. And then up here, these are actually not part of the set. I found them for 50 cents a piece. Homer Laughlin is another restaurantware thing. Found them for 50 cents a piece at a thrift store, and I figured, well, that matches reasonably well. So I didn't have any bowls this style, so I got those. Just a couple smaller luncheon plates, which are nice for lunch. Little bouillon bowls back there. I think I'm gonna need to get a chair. Hold on. Let me stand up here so we can get a good look. Also, this is cat food. Someone asked what our cat food situation is. So I don't love this. It's a little Pinterest, but I had it. It works. We're good. Okay, up here, this is slightly fun. So we have more dinner bowls, or more dinner plates. I swear I can feed 25, 30 or something with the amount of giant dinner plates I have. These little bitty bread plates, and then slightly bigger bread plates. And dessert plates, so I never run out of dishes. It's good. And then these tiny little bowls. How sweet are they? So we can throw quite a party if we need to. And then these are the bouillon bowls, which if you fill a bowl of this completely with chili, it's about 1 cup. So that's a measure that we typically use to, you know, control calories or whatever, if that happens to be what we're doing. So that's where all those are. We did manage to get all of them single stacked, but of course it's not the end. So if we go up here, the one thing about these dishes that's a little bit annoying is that the background of them is not pure white. It looks almost the same there, but it's actually slightly creamy. So a lot of my pure white things don't match it really well. So it's a little bit hard. I don't have a whole lot of platters or anything that I can serve for larger meals. So I'm always on the lookout for something that happens to be the same kind of off-white shade. So that's what this is. These are saucers. And then these are all teacups. So we hosted, or my parents hosted our rehearsal dinner, and it wasn't very big. It was, I think, 18 people. And for dessert, we offered coffee and tea. And I was terrified that every single person was going to want coffee and tea. So I purchased 18 teacups and saucers. I don't drink tea in this format, but I have them, and they're so cute, and they all match. So that's what hangs around up there. And they actually, they're stable. They're not going to fall anywhere with all of those things. But then if we happen to be having a nice dinner, I'm going to do some table setting stuff soon because it's one of my favorite things. But these I also got for my wedding. Just clear, that goes nicely with that. And then of course, blue, because why not? So these are not old. They're a little clunky and chunky, but they do look really nice with my dishes. So I actually do have 8 of each of those, but some are on the other side. So that's pretty much everything that's in here. What is down on these 3 shelves, we reach most often. So I can reach everything there. These are our daily dishes. I can set a whole table from that. Anything up there is more unusual, more special occasion type stuff. So there are all of our dishes. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And what we actually do with these is we wash our dishes here and then let them dry. And then it's so nice because you can just put most of the dishes that we have away right here. So the travel distance is almost nothing. And as far as efficiency of putting things away, I mean, it's as good as having a dishwasher right here, except I don't have a dishwasher. I have all of this storage. So it ends up working out really nice. And then the other thing that we can do is we can kind of split what we're washing. So anything that goes over here, we can let it dry here. And anything that goes on this side, we let dry over here. So over here, we have mentioned before that this is the baking corner. See, the mixer's unplugged, no fires, we like that. This is the baking corner, so most of the things down below are for baking. Again, we have another pull-out counter, which is just wonderful. This one is all spices. So this divider situation I actually made. These are all just, these little tins of spices. These are round spices, and then these are kind of the bulk spices, and anything that's overflow that doesn't fit in here, that like I have like 4 rosemaries because I kept buying them forgetting that I had them, and so all of them are back here as overflow if we need it. So that's where all the spices are. It's really convenient because you're right next to the stove, so I end up using this counter a lot to prepare things or to mix things while things are on the stove. And so you can pull this out, and right behind me in here are all the teaspoons and everything. So you just stand literally right here, and the efficiency of being able to grab spices from there and measuring things from there and stir it here, it's all right here. Makes my efficiency brain very, very happy. So that is in that. Underneath, I eliminated paper towels as best I can. I do have some underneath there, but I didn't get rid of them necessarily for the green aspect. Like that's a nice bonus, but I got rid of them, one, because I didn't want to look at a paper towel roll somewhere around here, but also because I don't like repurchasing things, especially things if I can find an alternative. So what I did instead is, I think there's a link in the description. I got these cheap shop towels, and there's like 50 of them for $20 or something. So I use those like I would paper towels, and then I throw them in this bucket to wash. So I keep all of those. This is a refill for our hand towel dryer. I have 2 of them now, so when this one gets gross, I can change it out. And then my rolling pin is in there, and then behind that is just some other kind of junk towels if we happen to spill something and need to dry it up. So that's in that drawer. These drawers are baking things. So Jell-O, baking powder. I don't have a ton of baking stuff right now because I wasn't baking for so long, so I have to sort of replenish this and refill it. But then those will go in there, and then that's also what this bottom drawer is. This is more sugars, bread flours, powdered sugar, stuff like that. So that's extra baking supplies in there. And then here's my blue knob, my one blue knob that makes me so happy. This is more baking stuff. And what I did actually before we started putting all of this together is on this table here, I taped out the size of those shelves. And I have 3 of them basically. I have 1, 2, and then the upper one over here. I taped out the size of those shelves on this table, and then I rearranged everything I had that went in these cabinets until I found a configuration that fit on those shelves. So that let us determine whether or not we needed 2 shelves over here or 1 shelf or no shelf. I did all that beforehand so that I could have a better idea of what needed to go in all of these cabinets. So that was really, really helpful. You don't have to, you know, spend all of your time putting things in cabinets and taking them out. If you can tape out the outline of the space you're trying to fill, then you can rearrange things on a more comfortable surface like a table instead of trying to fight with it in a cabinet. So that was really, really helpful. Down here in the back, in the far back, we have just some specialty pans, cheesecake pans, stuff like that I don't use very often. It's not a big deal for me to move all of this stuff out of the way in order to get to them. This is just some taller, bigger baking supplies. And then down at the bottom we have, let's see if we can do this. Yep, there we go. More specialty baking pans in the back, grater, strainers, colanders, all that kind of stuff. So these we use most often, so it's near the front. Again, the stuff back there, I don't use it very often. So it's not a problem to have it tucked away in the back there. So that is everything that's in this cabinet. A very nice little baking area. And again, because it's so close to the sink, it makes, I swear it makes cooking a dream. It's so efficient. And even if you have to run back and forth across the kitchen, I mean, it's 2 steps. It's not bad at all. Then obviously we have mixer, flour, sugar. A couple people asked what this is. We don't really like just plain water. We drink tap water, but you know, we just don't really like it. So we do a lot of drink mixes. We buy these full packets and then just, you know, portion out a part of it for our 32-ounce water bottles. So this is just a slightly more attractive way to keep all of those out here with all the different flavors that we have. So that's what that is. And we're usually refilling right here at the sink. So it's very convenient, but it looks kind of pretty, very functional, very practical. My little shelf, so cute. This I think will kind of change depending on what I'm making. Honestly, it really was just a place to put vanilla because the vanilla got lost in here. This is stuff that Brandon uses almost every day to make eggs and breakfast and everything. So that's what it contains it all. I'm not really worried about getting rid of any of the packaging because it's contained and it's very obvious that this is a working kitchen. This is a kitchen that we're supposed to actually make stuff in. It just looks a little bit nicer, contained in a basket and contained in a shelf. So above here is all of our baking stuff. This is what I mean when I said that the white stuff doesn't really go. You can see how different the color is. It's not bad, it's just a little bit jarring if you're gonna set a table. So most of this stuff will stay over here for baking. I have a couple small mixing bowls, a couple large mixing bowls, a bunch of these, which are good for dividing up ingredients, but I'll probably get rid of, honestly. Tons of, you know, measuring cups, which, do they look old? No, but they're functional, and I don't really mind the way they look up there. Our scale, because we use that a lot. Bread pans. These are 8x5, I think, which is a little bit different from what you can get modern, because I think the modern ones are a little bit wider, but I really like those. This awesome bachelor bowl that I got, which is really nice for anything that you have to mix and pour. And then I had a bunch of little stuff. Let me go get my chair again. Hold on. I think this was my $5 chair that I got at a antique fair. Okay, here we go. So I had a lot of little gadgets. You know, a juicer, a lid for something, candy thermometer, bread cutter right there. So I had all of these and I didn't really want to take up drawer space with them because we don't use them that often, but I do use them enough that I want them in the kitchen. So I just put a basket in here, which looks totally fine and totally pretty when the door is closed. So then I labeled it, and that's just, if I'm looking for a gadget and it's not in one of the drawers, it's probably in this basket. And I did the same thing here with cookie cutters. I wanted them in the kitchen, but didn't want to take up a drawer with them. So we put them in a basket, and that just makes them look a little bit nicer in the glass cabinet. We did the same thing up here. This part's a little bit less organized. A wonderful follower sent me those and some little bowls that are behind them, and I haven't figured out what to do with them yet, so they're up there. Pie plates, a few miscellaneous white dishes. This is tea mugs, like large, you know, actual, well, they're kind of wedged in there, but large actual tea mugs that you would have a nice cup of tea in. So those are in a basket. I would like a little bit of a bigger basket, I think, to contain them. But again, that just prevents it from clashing too much, because mugs are one of those things that you have that you like but don't necessarily go with your decor. So I put them in a basket so you don't see it quite as much. More bread tins, a little clear dish because I just had the space here. And then back here, I have a lot of large utensils, you know, fancy pasta things and pie forks and stuff like that. And again, I wanted them in the kitchen, but didn't necessarily want to take up cabinet space with them. So I don't use these bread pans very often, and they're just going to hang out back there. If I need them, I know where they are. And that is, well, let's go up here. See, just a little bit of leftover stuff up here. Is it the most attractive? No, but you know what? That's okay because this kitchen is a working kitchen. So the last thing, it's not exactly a cabinet tour, but it is the other part of the storage in this kitchen, and it's this stove. So obviously there's lots of drawers and lots of handles in this stove. So what does everything go to? Well, this one goes to the oven, obviously, but the other three are storage. So this one pulls out, and I keep lids, and I don't love these in here, but I don't have a better place for them right now. So that's where all those stay. And then most of my pots are all underneath, which, okay, look at the door color, and then look at the drawer color, and that was not planned. The house was just speaking to me. So there's that, and then the others. So that takes care of pretty much all of my pots and pans, which is nice because, like, this is my limiting storage. I'm not going to buy any more without getting rid of something because I don't want to have to keep track of anything more than this. So it's nice that those are all kept near the stove, kind of contained in a nice place. I did have quite a few questions about the cast iron, why it's so far over here. Honestly, because I had it. It needed a place on the wall, and the prime real estate over here is taken up with our drying towel. So I think that'll eventually move because I do want to use it. But even if it doesn't, I mean, you know, the thing with efficiency is you get as close as you can, and then there's always going to be some things that are not ideal because of other things that you've done. So that's not ideal. But I guarantee in a day, we use this thing probably 10 to 15 times, maybe 20 or 25, and we use these maybe 3. So you kind of have to make a sacrifice of, okay, I'm going to make this a little bit less efficient over here so that I can have this thing be more efficient. So that is basically the cabinet tour. I want to do the pantry, but I can see we're at 22 minutes, so I think we're going to make that a separate video where we go through all the pantry and talk about that and everything. So there we go. That is what is in all of our cabinets. And the great thing about it is that if I change my mind and all of a sudden I want all of my dishes over here because I think there's a better workflow, or if I want to put all of the Tupperware in a giant basket on top of the refrigerator. Oh, I missed that. Hold on. So we have these 2 baskets up here, and they just hold cereal and chips. They're pretty, they're large, they're extremely functional, and they look sort of okay with the kitchen. But they just happen to hold all of our chips and everything. And we have scissors there because we eat popsicles, and that's where we hide the scissors for the popsicles. So anyway, that's what's up there. I think that's everything. I think that's all the storage. If there are other questions, you can leave them on this, or you can leave them on the community post. And I believe the next time we will do a video, we'll go hang out in the pantry, because the pantry is, I mean, the kitchen's glorious. We love the kitchen, and it's all great and everything. The pantry is also glorious. So thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. This worked really, really well. I don't think I specifically mentioned it, but our knives are right there. They'll move, and I've had a couple things like, well, you know, that won't work with babies, and the cleaning products down there won't work with babies. You're right. But this kitchen is also designed to be very changeable and very flexible. And I mean, relocating all of that stuff is the matter of 10 minutes of work. So that's kind of my philosophy, is making the kitchen work for right now, and then allowing the possibility for it to be rearranged and fixed to work better, if that makes sense. So that's what we have. Happy kitchen. Happy Saturday. Instagram will have more updates because I think we're going to go acquire a little something later today. And otherwise, I will see you next time.